welcome to Tech Thursday. This is the second episode of our podcast, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you want. Here with me is Clive today, who is a really good cinematographer, right? Or director of photography. In short, DP. Do you like that title?
Yes, why not?
At the end of the day, it's not about titles. Yeah. It's not about titles. Are you really a fan of Tech Thursdays? Because I realized that you comment on each episode.
Yes, pretty much. You know, the moment you go with welcome to Tech Thursdays, you know, that's where you get me.
I love it. But are you a tech person?
I am a tech person. I'm not the obsessive type such that I have to always have like the latest technology, of course, but I mean, the technology obviously interests me.
But what about when it comes to filmmaking, technology in filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, you have you have to be up to date with technology because it's obviously so fast paced. You know, the technology is always evolving every year, basically.
It's true.
So obviously you have to be, whether you like it or not, kind of.
But why do you say whether you like it or not? Don't you like it, kind of thing?
I do, but I mean, there are many DPs which maybe even, especially the older ones, which are not too keen, you know, on technology, obviously. So I mean, not everyone, I guess, likes technology. Some people love the traditional way of filmmaking.
Of course, which is beautiful, by the way. On a film, you can get
yes.
no matter how much dynamic range you have on digital cameras. I mean, nothing can replicate.
Even especially when it comes to lighting, obviously, with the LED revolution, you know, some people find it hard to accept filming with LEDs, you know, because they want to stick to their tungstens and the HMIs, which
can be a headache. However,
yes, of course.
So yeah, while embracing technology, obviously it has its problems. But myself personally, and here at Videocafe, we like to adapt very much, accept technology as soon as possible, and move forward with that. However, I totally understand the classic filmmaker who obviously has his heart tied to film, and what you get with film, I mean, that feeling, that warm feeling.
Can't be replicated.
Almost. It's true. It can be very difficult to replicate. If you noticed when you come in here, in our offices here, our studio space, you realize that we have some vintage cameras and projectors. And one of the things that we want to do eventually is to test them out and actually film with a film camera, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So
do they actually work, those?
Not all of them. I know that the one on the right works, which is the Kodak, Carlos.
That's Super 16 or?
It's Super 16, no, not Super 35, both of them. Cool. So I can call them the consumer kind of film cameras, if you know what I mean.
The Kodak just released a new modernized version of the Super 16.
That's cool, but I didn't find it.
I'm not sure, because they announced it and then it got delayed. And then
there's something about it, right?
It's quite expensive for a toy, to be honest.
It's true.
But I mean, if you want to shoot, it's got some, I don't remember to be honest, but it's got some modern features, which an original Super 16 doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's the advantage of this, basically.
However, I realized that this Kodak camera, I think they launched it as a concept. I'm not 100% sure, right?
Yes, that's a couple of years ago. But no, I believe the project has relaunched, but I could be wrong.
All right. Because I was looking for it, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I find it interesting, but I couldn't find it. So that's why I'm saying this. Anyway, Kodak were big players and are still... Are they still big players? When it comes to color grading and stuff, they try to...
I mean, probably. I mean, they're nowhere near, you know, as big as they used to be, but...
Obviously.
But obviously there's still Kodak around.
Of course, and doing photography, if I'm not mistaken, and film.
Both photography and film, yes.
Yeah, both of them. So anyone who is interested in filming on film can buy film stocks. Do you call them film stocks, by the way? Yeah. So you can buy film stocks from Kodak.
I think they're making a comeback, actually. Obviously, it's limited because it's super expensive to shoot film, obviously. But film photography is also made a huge comeback recently.
All right. Yeah. And you can see even on Instagram and popular social media sites, even with the younger audience. Today we're talking and we're addressing people who are interested, by the way, in video content and more specifically in filmmaking, because as I said, Clive is very much into the film world. What have you been doing lately, Clive?
Recently, I mean, to be honest, lots of commercials, music videos, and also short films, you know. So shot a feature last October, I believe.
Yeah.
So a little bit of everything, to be honest, at the moment.
Is the short feature published anywhere?
No, not yet.
All right.
Not
All right.
yet.
So it was shown
It's
in a
still-
small theater,
No,
kind
no,
of an
it's
indie
not-
production.
No, it's not even ready yet.
Oh, all right. So you can't say anything about it,
No,
long story
no,
short.
no.
All right. But I've seen that you've done something last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm talking about last year, November or October.
All right. Okay. So that's the same
Yes,
film. It
yes,
hasn't been
yes.
released.
No.
All right. Okay. Interesting. If anyone wants to follow Clive Brinkat, I think they can see snippets on your Instagram
Yeah, sure.
of the behind the scenes of that, right?
I don't think I posted anything, to be honest.
So I saw something else.
Oh, probably someone else posted something, but I mean,
Might
I
be
don't.
the case.
I haven't
Might be
posted in
the
a while,
case.
to be honest.
Don't worry about it. I get it because we're all the time creating stuff, you know, and editing, and it's so time consuming. Even to do these episodes, it's really hard for us. I was talking to Clive before we started how difficult it can be to be able to focus on editing while at the same time organizing podcasts and stuff. But anyway, I'm sure that the film world can be really complicated, especially with all this new technology. But I'm really curious to see, what's your favorite tech on set?
I mean, usually the camera has to be the favorite tech, but there are various other accessories like light meter, color meter, which we've got them here, and also various apps, which makes our life so much easier nowadays.
What apps do you have on your iPhone, on your home screen? Because
my
that
home
saves
screen.
a lot on a person.
To be honest, it's very standard. What I have on my it's just basic everyday, like Google Calendar, email, Google Maps, Instagram. That's it basically.
But
And
do you have
WhatsApp.
Facebook there?
I only have Facebook for the sake of it. I use
filling the gap,
Messenger
that's
just to speak to a handful of people on Messenger, because nowadays everyone uses WhatsApp.
Yeah, WhatsApp. Even us with clients, I find myself on WhatsApp most of the time, and then email for less urgent matter. We always like to touch base on what apps our guests use, because I think it's very interesting. I have Notion, which we use a lot. Have you heard about Notion?
Not really.
It's a really cool software which keeps everything really organized. So at Videocafe we use it a lot. It's like having an office online.
I think my favorite apps would be Artemis Pro. Have you used Artemis?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Light meter also?
No, because...
All right. Yeah, no problem.
I do have a light meter. Are you referring to a similar app?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, there's also app like, I'm not sure if it's this one or another one, where you can actually put the Biat dome, which you can attach it to the iPhone.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
And have a proper reading.
Yes, it's as
similar,
close as
as
it
close
could
as
get.
possible,
I mean, it's quite okay, to be honest. I mean, a basic light meter like this costs, I don't know, like 600 or 700 euros. So if you want something much cheaper, everyone has a phone, so
of course.
it's much more accessible.
And for anyone out there who doesn't know what a light meter is,
well, light meter, to be honest, it's basically used to measure light, basically. Now, to be honest, I don't think, especially the younger filmmakers, I don't think many people use it anymore, to be honest, because most people use waveforms or false colors as well nowadays.
Yeah.
But for me, I love using a light meter alongside these measuring tools.
Because it gives you more accurate data.
No, false color is very accurate, to be honest. It's not that, but first and foremost, I just love using it when I have the time. And second and foremost, it's got some advantages which false color can't give you. For example, it's not super rare that you're on set beforehand, especially if you're a gaffer. and you need to start lighting, right? Now, if you don't have a camera in place, because, I don't know, like camera could be filming some other place, or you have pre-rigging like a day before, if you don't have camera, how are you gonna expose, you know?
Yeah.
You either have to leave everything for the day, for the day when you're shooting, or else you have a light meter and you can get, you know, quite close to, you know?
Yeah, to it.
Exactly. You can basically light without a camera.
Correct me if I'm wrong. False color depends a bit on the monitor you're using also.
I mean, every monitor has its own kind of...
Because some false color...
Yes. To be honest, I use small HD.
Yeah, even us, and that was...
but theoretically, I mean, they are quite similar. You can have every every monitor I ever used.
Yeah, it did the job.
Yes, exactly. You can also check the false color with the compare the false color to the light meter. I mean, just to make sure, you know,
that makes sense. That's why it makes sense to have something like this. Then,
yeah, some cameras, for example, have slight different middle gray, so it might not be, you know, so you have to calibrate, you know, to match. But theoretically, yes, you can check.
Yeah.
If your false color is on point, specifically with a light meter as well.
Of course. And what other tech you have here?
A color meter, which is very similar to the light meter, but obviously it measures the temperature of the light.
All right, cool.
Which is
it's very important because of the LED also, right?
Especially when
the accuracy in them.
Yes, especially, for example, let's say you're filming, I don't know, in a factory, an office block. It's a huge space where you're gonna have to use, at least in the background, some of the, you know, house ceiling lights. Usually lighting fixtures, like actual lights, not film lights, usually might have some weird color shifts in them, obviously, and they're not, I mean, the quality is not up to par.
Because obviously,
lights, right?
You're not in 100% control of your lighting.
So when you get to put your lights in, it would be best to match them as close as possible, obviously, both in terms of temperature and tint. So that's why this could be handy, basically.
All right, that's cool. And is there an app for it also?
An app? To be honest, the light meter I have here actually gives you gives you a meter reading if you want to test it. Let's just do this. So it says that this light is 6,000 Kelvin, for example. Let me check with
that. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's on 5.6.
Okay, just so you know, sometimes lights tend to not, sometimes, not all of them, tend to not be accurate, you know. You might think you're at 5.6, but you're at 6,000.
All right,
It could be that the light is that, or it could be that over time LED just, you know, degrades in quality.
All right, good to know. Good to know.
So
it affects, if it degrades in quality, it could affect the output.
The tint, even that the color, could color shift, basically.
Which you can correct in color grading.
Yes, but ideally, okay, so let's say you rent a bunch of equipment. It's a very important job and you want, you know, to do the best job possible. One thing you can do with a color meter is test all the lights beforehand. And let's say this light has some green tint to it, you know. What you can do is take a note down, and you know that every time you're going to run this light, you're going to have to do a +1/8 magenta, +1/8 green, sorry, or whatever round.
Exactly.
So you basically
to make up for it
and calibrate, and usually you have a pouch and you put it with the stand wherever
that makes
that stand
sense.
is. That's kind of, you know, the reason. So I was going to check here. Which is this indicates a 5.5.
5.5? It might be the case, to be honest.
Which is 100K off 5.6, and 100 Kelvin is irrelevant. So basically, the reason why the 100 Kelvin is because you put probably diffusion on. Diffusion tends to warm the light. Depends on what diffusion. Some might warm 100 Kelvin, some even 300, depends or more, depends on what you put. So this is basically very accurate light, and so obviously the app was off.
Of course.
But obviously it's still okay.
You can still do the job at least.
Obviously this is like super expensive. It's not
worth it, kind of thing.
Getting, depends on what you do, but it's This is, I think, like free app, or I don't know, or maybe like 10 euros. I don't remember.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
This
I
would
bought it.
cost like around the region of 1,800 or so.
All right. I never had one of those, to be honest with you. And it's quite important. Yeah. So we were saying and talking about color shift and stuff like that. One of the things, especially for filmmakers who are starting out there, to take note of is your tint of your ND, right? Because
yes.
NDs can have a particular tint. What do you suggest there? First of all, to buy a good ND.
Yes, unfortunately, any type of glass really tend to be ridiculously expensive, right? Every piece of ND glass, a proper one, costs like around 600 euro.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure now there are some cheaper versions which still perform good. And obviously the problem is you need multiple of them. You can't just have one.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's quite an expense. So luckily, I think we live in a time where, for example, there are quite affordable cameras like an FX6, which has an internal ND. You might still need to purchase some additional ND because obviously it's got like, I think, 3 different stops.
Yes, it has.
But still, it helps a lot, obviously.
Of course. Which is quite rare, to be honest, to have inbuilt NDs in new cameras for some reason, right?
I mean, it's definitely rare in like the price point of an FX6, for example.
Yeah, at that price point, yeah, exactly. Which is 10,000?
No, I think an FX6 would cost only around like 5,000.
5,000?
I
All right,
believe.
interesting, yeah. Yeah.
So
in that range, you won't really find much cameras with a built-in.
Well, actually, I have a Zcam which had an internal ND, which is a smidge cheaper. So I think they're starting to crop up. I guess.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's the good part of tech then. That it's going so fast.
Listen, I do have like so there's another issue with ND, especially when you're shooting outdoors. It's infrared, so obviously there's sun, it's emitting infrared, so which sometimes could contaminate your image. So obviously you need IR&D, which is basically a cut.
Yeah.
It cuts the infrared
light
waves. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting topic. We can keep on going about that, but I decided to get one of the most interesting tech that people want to see and that you like, which is the camera.
Oh, okay, sure.
The camera.
Yeah, this is my first camera.
Which is
it's an 80D, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Canon.
It's an 80D. I think I bought that in like 2018 or so. It was my first camera. Obviously not this lens. I had this standard 18 to 55 millimeter lens with a
which comes with it, probably.
Yes. It comes with it. Like basically with like 1,000 euro, I had a whole package basically. It was quite a good camera, actually. It was the time where Sony A7 III came out, so obviously...
Yeah, of course, they were competing.
Oh, yeah, but the Sony was way more...
Advanced at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the Sony shoots like HD, while the Sony shot 4K.
All right. And since you're mentioning brands, which brand do you think at this stage is doing the most advancements in filmmaking?
I mean... Ari is Ari, obviously it's useless done, but I think Sony are impressive at the moment with their
image sensors,
always inventing like I think the
wheel.
Sorry,
inventing the wheel.
Yes. So many new features coming out like on their cameras. Also, I mean the new Red is kind of impressive. I think.
Big time.
I think those are the three brands which obviously stand out.
It's true. And you mentioned that you started off with Canon.
Yes.
Now, where are we at?
I'm currently mostly shooting with the Red.
5 years after, we're saying?
Well, technically I got the Red last year, so 4 years after.
4 years after you started,
yes.
Exactly. So by the way, keep a note, guys, never discourage yourself, from achieving your goals. If you want to be a filmmaker, Clive, first of all, can be a good professional to talk to. Secondly, an example for anyone who wants to, make a leap within 5 years.
So basically, I started with the Canon. Like a year after, I jumped into Sony. Everyone was shooting Sony back then. The A7 III was, I think, one of the most popular cameras.
We had it.
Ever.
You had it. Everyone. I still have it
somewhere.
somewhere there. But
then, when I started to get more interested in narrative stuff, so I wanted to go for a more like a cinema camera, and I got like a Zcam, an F6, which was a perfect camera to get into that sort of productions. It was, I think, so at that time I wanted to buy a Komodo, but the Komodo, the supply was horrible.
Yeah, in fact,
it was a mess.
We got the Komodo and we had to wait.
At COVID times?
If I'm not mistaken, was it at COVID times? I forgot about that.
I think so.
But I know it's been with us for 2 years for sure. So it might be right after or at COVID times. And I remember a long waiting time.
Probably before. I got the Zcam before you.
I think so.
And that was even a worse time when I wanted to buy
really?
it. So, to be honest, looking back, I'm happy I got a Zcam instead of a Komodo, because Komodo has got very powerful RAW done. With the Zcam, you have to be more accurate about everything because you have less flexibility in post.
All right, so I see what you're getting.
It helped me kind of push and notice certain, details, which probably if I got a Komodo right then, I might have not overlooked, because in the end, you're never going to do miracles in post, but still, it helps a lot.
I get what you're saying, because I think that it's something that I can't say that we fall into as such. We wanted something compact, which doesn't limit us.
Very small like this.
Yeah, that's why. So it's compact. It shoots RAW, and as you're saying, you afford to do some kind of, not mistakes as such, but you can kind
of slightly
more forgiving, especially when we're in scenarios where we're filming documentary, because
of course.
That's our forte. Documentary. That's what we do most here. And in documentary, you don't always have control over lighting. Usually we're filming in either natural light, or we need to quickly set up good light, obviously. But we need to start filming to capture the moment most of the time, even if it's an interview. The Red was a right fit for us, and it was something really good for us to have raw files to play around with. Not good for the amount of storage we guys need.
But to be honest, I think it's got an ELQ mode, which it's quite efficient with very small file sizes. Have you tried that?
To be honest, no, I haven't.
So basically, if you don't have it, you just need a firmware update.
All right, okay. It's time for a firmware update, Carlos. Because usually Carlos here behind the scenes.
It's been quite a while though on the Komodo, so we haven't done a firmware update in quite a long time.
Did we? Or maybe it's there and we haven't somehow noticed it. So where do you find it? Do you know that by heart?
Where do you find what?
The ELQ settings.
It's just underneath when you check the compression settings. You got HQ, LQ, and ELQ, basically.
All right. I'm curious about that. Actually, I want to switch on my Red now to see about it. So you still have flexibility.
Yes.
The raw flexibility.
Yes. But it's just a higher compression, which is good for these type of projects where you don't need, the fine details.
Of course.
It's still quite. I mean, it's probably to the eye you won't notice straight away the difference between ELQ, LQ, etc.
I have one question though, because sometimes when it comes to compression, the more compressed, the more problems you might have when playing back while editing, and it's a huge thing. Let's say, let's bring out the most classic example, the H.265.
Yes, that's which
is a nightmare. Don't go there.
Yes, no. It's definitely not H.265. Like it's still quite efficient to be honest to edit. At least I never seen any. I never seen any real difference.
So you've tried it, right? And you've edited on it?
Yes.
Mentioning editing and workflows and workstations, what are you editing on at the moment?
To be honest, lately I haven't been editing enough, but because seemingly every project I'm on almost always have like a dedicated editor.
Yeah.
But I love DaVinci Resolve basically.
It's a beautiful software which I'm personally on now also.
Okay.
I used and I still love Final Cut Pro X because of its
Never got into that.
unlimited creativity possibilities. It's different. So DaVinci, Premiere, Avid, and all the other software is based on what do you call it? Layers, right? You switch on layers, add video layers, have audio layers. If anyone out there have ever used a video editing software, probably it's full of layers. Final Cut removed layers, so you don't have those dedicated layers. It's still kind of having a layer on top of each other, but it's more scattered around. So how I describe Final Cut Pro is like having a blank canvas for an artist to paint on, starting from literally nothing. But yeah, DaVinci, I saw the huge capabilities to it. I've started on DaVinci seriously now. It's my second year.
Okay.
And I keep on learning on it and discovering it, and you can do really good audio on it also, and color on the same software,
basically.
and editing on the same software. What, you know what I don't use
Fusion.
yet? No, Fusion, I don't use it much. We use it to create some effects, to be honest. But that's it, to enhance some effects on it, but not anything complicated on it. But the cut page, I haven't.
I never used that.
I never got used to it.
I never used it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, usually when you, I mean, I previously I used Premiere Pro, and the closest section of like Resolve to Premiere Pro would be the edit page, not the cut page.
That's it.
So you go to on the edit page to start
automatically
to
you'll
get
find
familiar,
yourself,
and that's, you know. But I'm sure, like, I mean, who knows how to actually use it efficiently? The cut page could be super quick to do, like a first cut, for example.
That's what they say. That's what they say. And I really want to do that, because sometimes I really want to have a quick way of doing the first cut, even though, to be honest, I find it easy with the normal edit page. But I'm sure Blackmagic are so serious about filmmaking, you know, and video content creation, professional video content creation, that I'm sure that they made it on purpose. Anyway, I'm very glad that we've touched base on editing too. Here we work on MacBooks, Apple, M1, M2. We have the M2. What do you call it, Palace? I forgot, Carlos. I forgot the Mac Mini, M2, which we find really good. The iMac Pro from 2016, it's still going on. Yeah, that's why we love Apple. And anyone who follows Tech Thursday, welcome to Tech Thursday. Anyone who follows that know about that. But I got used, and I got loving Apple so much because of work, by the way. Because the moment I jumped in, using Apple
there
products.
are other things. They got nice ways how to hook you up, like buying a new device, everything is synced. You just switch it on and suddenly you have everything, obviously.
We do a lot of airdrop here in between us.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure Android is the same, but
I'm sure there are different.
With one brand, kind of, it's hard to change. Very hard.
That's the thing. If it's Apple or Android, they want you both in your ecosystem, their ecosystem. Clive, I think it's time to showcase the camera you're using now, which you said is your kind of favorite tech at the moment.
Yes.
Some anticipation, I know which one is it, but yeah, there it is. Okay. Let me move a bit my laptop. It's the Red V Raptor, it's called, right? Yeah, what about this huge, beautiful, equipped camera?
I mean, it's basically a VistaVision sensor, which is similar to full frame, just slightly bigger, like 10% bigger, I believe. What else? I mean, shoots 8K, 120 FPS, obviously R3D RAW. I guess that
it does the job. It does the job, definitely. And let's say we mentioned Red Komodo. Red Komodo, just to put you in the picture, it has a Super 35 sensor.
Yes, yes, it does.
So yeah, this has an even bigger sensor than a full frame.
Yes, yes.
What's the benefit of that?
I mean, larger sensors typically have better low light, usually, and depth of field, basically. It also has a different, I mean, it's a different look, which is not necessarily better. It's just, you know.
Yeah, they're different.
In fact, I mean, while today large format is quite popular, Super 35 will always still be popular because there's so many incredible lenses which are in Super 35. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And many films were shot, right, in Super 35.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, one of the most popular cameras is the RE35,
Exactly.
which is, you know, a Super 35 camera.
Yeah, it's interesting, obviously. Huge. I think it's quite heavy also.
It kind of is. You can try it.
Can I try it out?
Yes.
Ooh. Clive, can I see your bicep? And tricep, please. Joking apart, I think that people are curious how much this setup costs. Maybe let's start with the camera only. So forget the med box, forget batteries, forget monitors, just the camera, which is just this box here.
Well, basically, unlike like a usual like a DSLR or mirrorless where you buy, you know, the body and you have basically everything you can shoot, Red sells basically the brain, and then you have to put accessories in order to make it operational. So the brain alone, I think, I don't know exactly, I haven't checked, but I think it was around like 24, 25 maybe.
The brain alone.
Yes, yes. And then you accessorize it and obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've noticed that it's something you really like, right?
Excuse me?
Rigging up a camera is something you really love.
I wouldn't say really love, to be
really
honest.
neat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it's
I don't go every day trying to rig it differently or trying to done as, I mean, I'm happy with, for example, a setup and that's it, but it's not something which...
Yeah. Yeah, it's something which you need.
It's also very difficult to rig cameras in Malta sometimes because there's not like
parts.
Yeah, for example, most of the time I have to go abroad. I mean, when I bought this, in order to have my accessories and everything, I had to go abroad to actually test everything out. Because if you don't do that, you'll end up buying everything online and hoping that
hoping it will be a good fit.
Yes, or it would. You know, suit your needs or everything.
Once I went to London to CVP. I think you went to the same place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I've been to London, to CVP.
To CVP London, and you bought this from there, right? Because now they can ship to EU with the same price and everything because they have an EU store. Because during COVID times, that was a problem.
Of course, once Brexit. Once Brexit, I mean, hit us, you know, and we're starting getting taxed.
They had to think of alternatives.
It was a nightmare because theoretically, like 80-90% of the things we buy is from the UK. There's no other like actual supplier which comes close to, I mean, in terms of service and efficiency and everything. You know?
So this beauty came from Belgium?
Yeah, technically, yes.
Technically, yes.
But from UK.
And it's Malta?
Come again?
It's Malta with its own sensor, with its own eye, and any other countries you've been to?
Where I shot with this? The UK.
Kenya, if I'm not mistaken?
No, that was Ghana.
Ghana,
UK. That's it, I think. Cool. With this camera, let me say that.
Yeah. That's very interesting, Clive. Yeah, it's always nice to have such a beauty on our podcasting table here. I want to finish with something, which is the future of filmmaking and tech at the same time.
I mean...
You know where I'm getting?
Yeah, I mean, virtual production will get bigger, obviously. It's quite, I mean, it's quite difficult because it's huge technology, like it's... You
need a studio for it with a lot of space, right?
Which technically there is one studio at the moment in Malta.
Rapture. Yeah. Yep. I want to get one of the guys here.
Oh, of course. They are basically.
They're the guys to go to for virtual production.
For sure.
Obviously, I know what's virtual production, but I want you to briefly explain to whoever is following us, and maybe he's not into filmmaking, but he's into the behind the scenes of film or commercials. Okay. What's virtual production?
So basically, virtual production is shooting against an LED volume, basically.
Rather than using
a green screen. Yes, that's the idea, I guess.
About it.
Yes.
But then there are more technicalities, there's more depth into it.
There are a lot, yes, especially like I shot on virtual production where I mean, it's one thing shooting a talking head against the screen.
Of course, which is static.
Or having like seeing a whole background and the ground. So you have to kind of marry the actual real life to the screen, which is obviously much harder.
Much harder, and the tricky part is
there are lots of moving parts, to be honest,
including the sensors you put on the camera. Yes. Right, to be able to know your movement in that space.
Yes, basically, exactly.
So the background can move
exactly. But there are other obviously challenges. Like for example, lighting is kind of a challenge. Like especially when you go for daylight, basically you can't theoretically
mimic.
I mean, you can mimic, but to a certain extent. For example, sunlight. In studio, obviously.
Oh, of course, you're using light.
Sun is so far away, that the way light reacts to distance. True. Obviously, it's very difficult, especially when it's a smaller studio. You know.
Yeah.
So when we shot there, you put a light anywhere, you'd have. On one side, you probably have like 2 or 3 stops more than on the left side, for example.
Yeah.
You'll also have shadows.
What's that contrast ratio called?
It's the fall off.
Whatever it's called anyway.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
No,
the law of...
You're so good.
Wait. Fall off law name.
Sometimes...
Wait, because I have everything on Google. Oh, Google's giving me everything apart from fall off law name. Light. The inverse square law.
All right.
I just remembered the law. Yeah, because of how the inverse square law of how light, travels, through a space. Obviously, it's quite challenging to recreate the sun. So you'll have so much more exposure on one side, closest to the light, compared to further away. Obviously, with the sun, it's quite even because it's very far away. Also, you'd have shadows. You'd have shadows going all directions. So in order to do that, we went through lots of modifications, trying lots of flagging and nets and everything to try to,
And you managed to make it?
Yes, yes.
You were happy with that?
Yes.
Yes. That's good. So it's an area which I'm very keen to see where it will head and advance further.
Yeah, I mean it's from a lighting perspective, not from a lighting only. Everything, and you have to adjust. You have to learn. It's not just you're not gonna go there and just
and just shoot. Of course,
you have to do some tests, and you have to. I mean, there's a lot to learn. I think we haven't scratched the sketches, but basically, you have to mimic, especially for exteriors. In reality, like it's not just putting a sun. In reality, when you're outside, the sun is not the only source. There's the reflections of the sky, there's reflections of the buildings.
Of course,
there's so much.
Yeah, so many things.
Basically, the more you try to emulate that.
It's true. It's true. If you heard the noise, that was the garage next to our studio space opening. Yeah. So, final thoughts on AI, let's say. I had to mention this. Does it scare you? Because it scares some people. Other people say it's the new computers, which scared people before. Yeah, what's your take on this?
First and foremost, I haven't really gotten too much into it, to be honest, yet.
No one has.
Okay.
No matter what anyone says.
Okay, good.
No one has.
I mean, does it scare me? I mean, I'm not thinking about AI every day. Maybe we should, but I don't know. I think. You
know what I think, Clive? It will be just another tool.
That's what I think, but let's say it replaces jobs. I mean,
or else maybe changes jobs. So
changes, yeah.
maybe some basic stuff can be done by AI, and us will be more powered to do other stuff which is much more interesting. So the boring tasks can be done by
like
AI
what, for
eventually,
example?
like cutting and editing a podcast.
Okay, yeah.
It's not,
that's already happening.
yeah,
right?
it's happening, of course. And we definitely use AI for some stuff here, but I think our biggest thing here when using AI is never use it in such a way that we're just copying and pasting and that's it, you know. Fine, you can start a brainstorm session with AI. Why not?
Of course.
But then we let our creative minds go anywhere else.
No, I think cutting with AI is amazing. Oh, then obviously you need like human touch of actually, you know, done. But if AI does the dirty work,
I think that
that's amazing.
AI will empower us. That's how I like to think about it. I'm sure it will have its own disadvantages like anything else, but that's how I see it. So you're not scared from AI.
Yeah, but to be honest, I'm not like really thrilled or amazed by the AI imagery or work. I'm sure they have a place, but it's not something which I care about.
But it depends. Yeah. It depends.
For example, I will never choose an AI painting over a real artist, obviously. I think because the value of art, in my opinion, is because it's human. If you remove that, I mean, you might create the same product, but one of them costs 1 cent, the other, you know?
It's true. There's obviously the argument that behind that AI, there's a human being also. So the art won't create by itself. At the end of the day, an AI needs some kind of input from a human being. So, but that's something else. Art is so complicated. But it was really interesting to have you here and to have you talking about interesting points like virtual production, filming, cameras, editing, AI. We touch base on a lot of stuff today. Clive, thank you for being here. One final advice for whoever wants to start in video content production and filmmaking.
I mean, today everyone have access to a camera. It's on your phone. I remember way before, obviously, I actually got into filmmaking, where the first phones with video camera came out, you know, and I was astonished. Like, you know, I wasn't into filmmaking at all at that time. I mean.
But it was like a
but still, I was amazed that with a phone I can like capture, you know, a clip, you know, and you know, it's the phones back then, you know, like decade and a half or no, probably more ago. They had, I mean, they were very, you know, very raw and. Compared to today, with an iPhone, you also have log and ProRes and everything.
It's amazing.
Today, basically, you have a prosumer camera.
It's true. It's true.
With a phone. So basically, all you need to do is just shoot. You know, there's no barriers anymore. Anyone can shoot.
What's holding you back if you want to get into this industry?
Exactly.
I mean, we're not saying that it's easy somehow. Because sometimes people think that it's just glamorous. And that we tend to use such sexy gear and meet a lot of cool people. But that's part of it. But it's not. We do. And it's lovely. But it's not all. So, work hard, achieve it. Thank you for being here. That's it, guys. See you next Thursday. Literally. Ciao.